Marvel's Villainous family, My Kids Are Orochimaru, Charlotte Lingling, and more. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 11. Night Falls. Wait until Orochimaru and Tom return to the villa. Tsuchi's family of 5 all gathered and began to enjoy dinner. Before the table, Yoshikage introduces his new maid, the witch Ruewin, to his 2 older brothers. Voldemort Tom is not very interested in mutants, but Orochimaru shows a strong interest in the ability of the witch to live forever. Brother, your new maid is very interesting. When you get tired of her, you can give it to me. I want to dissect her and study the mysteries in her body, Orochimaru said casually. I like this maid very much, and I plan to keep her alive, but according to her, there are many other mutants in this world, and I will recapture one for my brother and send it to the laboratory for you to study. Yoshikage ate the dinner on his plate and said calmly, looking at the family of 5 in front of him and listening to their conversation. The body of the witch standing in the corner trembled, and her heart kept roaring. Devil, this family is all devils. It's all monsters. Oh my god, why do such horrible families exist in the world? Su looked at the trembling witch Ruewin from the corner of his eye. He already knew her purpose for sneaking into the villa this time. Someone within the Hydra organization has captured many mutants, and she is here to find the missing mutants. Suchi rubbed his head. He naturally knew that the capture of mutants was done by Baron Strack. Moreover, he also knew that the 2 famous twin siblings, Scarlet Witch Wanda and Quicksilver Pietro Maximov, were also currently in Baron Strack's hands. Counting it, the current Scarlet Witch Wanda, who is only 8 years old, should she be snatched from Baron Strack? Thoughts such as lowly cultivation plan came to Suchi's mind. Scarlet Witch Wanda has the ability to manipulate the power of chaos. The future development is limitless. Once the power awakens, looking at the Marvel universe, she is also a strong figure in the forefront of combat power. Her strongest achievement is the famous phrase, "There are no mutants in the world," which directly erases the ability of 90% mutants in the world. It's also a good idea to raise her around now and turn her into someone on your side. Thinking of this, Suchi planned to take time to go to Baron Strack again in the near future to have a good chat. As for whether the other party was willing to hand over Wanda obediently, this kind of trivial matter, Suchi did not pay attention to it. If you don't hand over someone, then just grab it. At this moment, Suchi's head suddenly lifted and looked out of the villa with a puzzled expression. Someone is coming? At this time, the 4 siblings also felt a powerful power fluctuation in the distance at the same time, and this force was rapidly approaching the villa. An interloper? Bandit? Charlotte Lingling's eyes lit up, and with an excited expression on her face, she stood up with her huge body and rubbed her fists. Suchi released his domineering aura, and the invisible spiritual force field instantly enveloped the range of hundreds of meters around the villa. He could sense the uninvited guest, extremely fast, and in a very short time broke through the Hydra guards arranged on the perimeter of the villa. Interesting. A smile appeared at the corner of Suchi's mouth. Let's go meet this mysterious visitor. Suchi stood up and walked towards the gate. Charlotte Riling, Orochimaru, Tom and Yoshikage followed behind him. Walking out of the gate, I saw a faint fire in the endless night. The fire quickly approached, pulling out a dazzling line of fire in the dark night sky. The roar of motorcycles rumbled from a distance. Rumble. A motorcycle with a roaring flame broke out of the air, jumped to a height of nearly 100 meters, and then fell violently. Suchi squinted his eyes and saw clearly that there was a skeleton with a burning flame sitting on the motorcycle. Ghost Knight, how did this guy end up here? Suchi's heart flooded with doubt. The flame locomotive crashed down from midair, rolling up billowing smoke. In the endless flames, the skeleton jumped down from the flame locomotive, quickly came to Suchi, and knelt down on one knee. Evil Spirit Knight Ariandra meets Lord Young Lord. The Evil Spirit Knight in front of him put away the raging hellfire on his body, and instantly changed from a skull back to human form. It turned out to be a young lady with an explosive body and sexy beauty. Huh? Suchi was stunned for a moment, didn't figure out what this was going on. At this time, the young lady of the Evil Spirit Knight wearing a black tight leather suit in front of her and perfectly outlined the curse of her figure took the initiative to open her mouth. It is your father, Lord Mephisto sent me to you. We, the Ghost Knights, have always been the messengers of Lord Mephisto on Earth. After listening to the explanation of the black tight-fitting leather sister in front of him, Suchi understood this time. Originally, after receiving the strength medal from his own father, he used the primordial vengeful spirit contained in it to create a batch of evil spirit knights belonging to the Hell Camp. And the black tight-skinned young lady in front of her, Ariandra Jones, is even more special, and the evil spirit in her body is the ancient elemental demon Lord Zatanos. Because of this, among all the evil spirit knights, she is the most powerful. She is also the leader of all the ghost knights in the Hell Camp. Episode 12. Looking at the evil spirit knight sister in front of him, Suchi touched his chin. He didn't expect that his demon daddy would have such a sexy and attractive female subordinate in the world. Looking at the perfect body under Ariandra's tight leather clothes, Suchi felt a little uncontrollable. My daddy sent you, what's the matter? Suchi forced himself to look away from Ariandra's body and pretended to ask nonchalantly. Lord Mephisto asked me to bring you a message. Ariandra said, what's going on? If it's so formal, I still want you to come in person and send a low-level demon over to deliver the letter. Suchi pouted. Ugh. Ariandra hesitated. This matter is indeed extremely important, even related to the whole pattern of hell. Lord Mephisto recently formed an alliance with two powerful figures, and now his strength has become the head of the 7 kings of hell. Oh? Suchi was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that his demon father was so enterprising, and he still remembered the great cause of unifying hell at his age. Who was his chosen alliance? Suchi asked curiously. One is the Blood Queen Nimue, who was the strongest sorceress in the human world thousands of years ago. The other is Hela, the goddess of death of Niflheim, one of the 9 kingdoms. She is the eldest daughter of the god King Odin, who once assisted Odin and unified the 9 realms, and her power is extremely powerful. Ariandra named the identities of the 2 allies. Belch, Blood Queen, Hela. It turned out to be the 2 of them. After the shock, Suchi frowned. Something is wrong. As far as I know, the body of the Blood Queen was divided into 6 pieces and sealed in different secret places. And Hela, because of her ambition, was also sealed in Niflheim by her father Odin. These 2 people are currently in a sealed state, and there is no use in forming an alliance with them? Suchi asked suspiciously, not knowing what his demon father had in mind. That's what I'm here for, Ariandra said cautiously. Lord Mephisto has made a contract with the Blood Queen and the Goddess of Death. As long as Lord Mephisto can help them open the seal and restore their freedom, after they get out of trouble, they will help Lord Mephisto unify hell. Well, it turns out that my father from home played this shrewd calculation. Suchi thought silently in his heart. The Blood Queen and Hela are both powerful figures, and with their help, their father's power can overwhelm the other 6 hell lords, and maybe they can really complete the great cause of unifying hell. However, the seals on the Blood Queen and Hela are not so easy to open. Is it possible that my father is leaving hell and personally attacking? Suchi asked curiously. The female version of the evil spirit knight Ariandra glanced at Suchi, but did not directly answer his question. Suchi's eyelids jumped sharply, and he already had an ominous premonition in his heart. No. Does Daddy want me to rescue the Blood Queen and Hela? Suchi's eyes widened. Ariandra nodded silently. Yes, this is exactly what Lord Mephisto meant. He ordered the young lord to go to find the place of the seal, open the seal, and release the Blood Queen and the Goddess of Death. Ariandra said word by word. This pit son's daddy. Suchi simply had the urge to hold his forehead. In addition, Lord Mephisto also confessed one thing, because he was worried that the Blood Queen and the Goddess of Death would violate the contract after they got out of trouble. So my lord additionally agreed that the 2 of them would marry you and become your wives. That is, the Blood Queen and Hela are now your fiancées. Ariandra slowly said the explosive news. What the? Fiancé? Blood Queen? Hela? Suchi's mouth grew bigger, and he couldn't close it for half a sound. His unreliable father actually engaged him to 2 marriages in one go, and they were both female devils with a bad name. In order to unify the dream of hell, you are really willing to push your own son into the fire pit. Suchi now only felt like crying without tears. Ugh. Charlotte Lingling, who was standing behind Suchi, clapped her hands fiercely and danced happily. I'm going to have moms, or 2 moms. Belch? Suchi helplessly looked at his eldest daughter with an excited face. My side has not agreed to marry these 2 female devils. You have already begun to change your name to mother. Congratulations, father. Orochimaru came up and said with a smile. This smile fell into Suchi's eyes. No matter how you look at it, it is a bad smile. I feel like you kid did it on purpose. Blood Queen Nimue? Tom silently recited the name in his mouth. I once saw the secret place where the Blood Queen was sealed in ancient books. The matter of rescuing my mother, I don't need to worry about my father. This kind of small matter can be left to me. Tom spoke. Don't mess around. Suchi slapped Tom on the head. You are not allowed to participate in this kind of thing. But you still honestly go to school, have you heard? Got it. Tom touched his head and said aggrievedly. Episode 13. Out of thin air, there are 2 more fiancées. Moreover, these 2 women who have never met before are notorious female devils. As soon as he thought of this, Suchi felt a headache. Moreover, it is not an easy task to open the seals on these 2 women. Hela was sealed by Odin in the land of death, Niflheim, and Sue's toes can be guessed, and Heimdall, the guardian of the Rainbow Bridge of the Heavenly Palace, must be monitoring the movements here day and night. It is almost impossible to quietly rescue Hela without alarming the god King Odin. As for the other fiancée, Blood Queen Nimue, she was too powerful back then, claiming to be the strongest dark wizard in history. Her strong power not only caused panic among the white wizards, but also caused the jealousy of the dark wizards in the same camp, and the final result was that the white wizards and the black wizards joined forces to attack, splitting her body into 6 parts and sealing them in different locations. Sorcerer. Suchi read this name and couldn't help but mutter. According to his understanding of the Marvel world, the leader of the current white wizard group should be the supreme mage who stayed in Karmatage, Gui. If he wants to open the seal and release the ancient evil black wizard Blood Queen, this kind of thing, I believe that the supreme mage with a sense of justice will definitely not sit idly by. At that time, it is bound to be a vicious battle. Alas, Suchi sighed silently in his heart. I just want to be a daddy, take care of my 4 children, live quietly, and I don't want to get involved in this kind of trouble. Okay, I know about this, you go back and tell my dad, I'll deal with it. Suchi waved his hand at the female version of the evil spirit knight and said weakly, yes, young lord. Ariandra, dressed in a black tight leather suit, nodded respectfully. Lord Mephisto instructed me and all the evil spirit knights in the world to obey the young lord's orders and fully assist the young lord in completing the task. Ariandra said solemnly, I'll contact you when I need to. Suchi said perfunctorily, at present, he has no intention of rescuing the two fiancées. In his memory, the two guys Blood Queen and Hela are not fuel-saving lamps, and once they are released, they are afraid that they will make a mess in the world again. Suchi didn't want anyone to break his current peaceful and leisurely life. After the female version of the ghost knight Ariandra left, Suchi's family returned to their normal life. At 10 o'clock in the evening, after drinking a glass of hot milk and saying goodnight to his father Suchi, Tom turned and went back to his room. Lying on the soft big bed, the name of Blood Queen kept floating in his head. The Blood Queen Naimu, the strongest dark wizard in history. She turned out to be my future mother, Tom said silently in his heart. At this time, a gray shadow swam away. Basilisk silently climbed onto the end of the bed, swam to Tom's side, and gently pressed himself on his shoulder. Tom reached out and touched his pet and whispered, Minibus, you know what? I want to go to my mom. She was sealed in the dark underground by a bunch of bad guys. I'm going to save her. Basilisk, the basilisk raised his head, and the snake swallowed and hissed. This is snake language. In today's world, only Tom can understand snakes and talk to snakes. You said you were willing to come with me to save my mother. Minibus, you are so good. Tom took the basilisk into his arms and said excitedly, it's a pity that my father doesn't allow me to go to find my mother, and this matter can only be concealed from my father and secretly carried out. Tom said to the basilisk. Then, the first step is to find the location where those wizards sealed their mother's body back then. Tom's eyes flashed, and he flew out of bed, pulled out an old parchment magic book from the bookcase, and quickly flipped through it. Wait, Mom, I'll definitely get you out. A week later, AIM, Pioneer Technology, building. Suchi walked slowly into the conference room, followed by the charming and sexy Viper woman Ophelia. In the conference room, the executives of the Pioneer Technology companies who have been waiting here for a long time stood up and applauded vigorously to welcome the arrival of the new boss. Under the manipulation of the Hydra Senate, it took only 1 week for all the shares of AIM Pioneer Technology to be transferred to Suchi, becoming a subsidiary of Totland Industries. Today is the first time Suchi and the executives of the AIM meet. Of course, Suchi's demonic appearance directly shocked these executives. They had only heard about it before. The new boss was a demon, but they really saw it with their own eyes, and they still felt incredible. Episode 14. Suchi went directly to the chief's position and sat down, his gaze sweeping over the group of AIM executives on both sides of the table. These people are almost all scientists in various fields, or rather, crazy scientists. The biggest reason why many scientists are willing to join AIM, working for Hydra, is that Hydra can provide these scientists with a research environment without taboos. For example, human live experiments, which will never be allowed in the M-country military and SHIELD. But in Hydra, there are no restrictions here. As soon as you apply, someone will soon capture civilians for you to experiment. As for accidentally killing people during the experiment, there is no need to worry about such a small matter. Naturally, someone will be responsible for dealing with it. It provides the most perfect scientific research environment for those crazy and evil scientists. And it is precisely because of this that AIM can continuously develop a variety of black technology weapons to ensure that the agents of Hydra are comparable to SHIELD in terms of scientific and technological equipment. Mr. Suchi, welcome to AIM. I am Monica Lapazzini, the company's chief technology officer. The black-haired woman sitting in the first position stood up and introduced herself. She wears an AIM uniform with the AIM logo on both shoulders. Suchi's gaze swept over her face. Monica Lapazzini. This is a famous evil scientist in the Marvel Universe, who has been working on the reverse engineering of Terrigen's crystals, capturing many Inhumans as experimental materials. In this process, I don't know how many Inhumans died on the experimental bench. And behind her, stood a somewhat shy young man, George Tarleton. Suchi instantly recognized his identity, and his other household name is Mordor, the big-headed monster sitting in the flying chair. At this time, his body has not mutated, and he is currently just an ordinary researcher in the AIM company, assisting Monica Lapazzini in the research of the Terrigen Crystal project. According to the development of the plot, soon he will mutate because of the injected serum and become the famous villain Mordor. Suchi withdrew his gaze and smiled. AIM is not at a loss to be the strongest technology research and development company of Hydra. It is really full of talents. Monica Lapazzini then briefed Suchi on the ongoing projects within AIM. These include intelligent robots, laser weapons, flying machines, individual combat support armor, and more. Of course, it also includes the Terrigen Crystal project, hosted by Monica herself. When the report was finished, Monica said to Suchi respectfully, Mr. Suchi, at present, AIM is encountering a tricky matter, and I hope you can help solve it. What's going on? Suchi asked casually. Well, some of our recent test materials are inadequate, which seriously drags down the progress of the entire project. Monica looked embarrassed and slowly said the dilemma she was currently experiencing. It turned out that the Tyrogen crystal reverse engineering project had been using Inhumans as a test material. In the past, these Inhumans as experimental materials were provided to the AIM company by Baron Strack, and at that time, Baron Strack had been trying to take over AIM, and naturally he was extremely supportive and responsive to AIM. However, since the senator assigned AIM to Suchi, Baron Strack was naturally unwilling to continue to make wedding clothes for others for nothing, and immediately cut off the supply of Inhumans, which made Monica Lapizzini immediately lose the precious test materials. Although the AIM company has a large number of black technology products, almost all of the internal personnel are scientific researchers without the power of chickens, who have not undergone combat training, and naturally do not have the ability to capture Inhumans. After listening to Monica's request, Suchi nodded slightly. No problem. He turned his head and glanced at the Viper woman behind him. This matter will be handled by Ophelia. Yes, my lord. The Viper woman nodded respectfully in agreement. It seems that it is time to hurry up and set up a security department directly under the company. Suchi thought thoughtfully. Thank you to all your colleagues in AIM, so many years of dedication and contribution. Today AIM officially joined Totland Industries. I am here to assure you that in the days to come, I will increase the resource tilt for AIM. Totland Industries will spare no effort to support the development of AIM. I promise to double the investment in scientific and technological research and development of AIM in the future, and increase the salary of all personnel by 30%. Suchi slowly spoke. Hearing Suchi's promise, all the AIM employees present were in good spirits. Oh my god, didn't I hear you wrong? Double the investment in scientific research, increase the salary by 30%? This is great, a researcher exclaimed excitedly. The new owner is so generous, another researcher said. For a moment, everyone rejoiced. Scientists who were originally worried about the AIM merger were completely relieved at this time, and Suchi greatly improved the welfare of AIM researchers on the first day of taking over, while increasing scientific research investment, which instantly gained the support of all researchers within the company. Looking at the reactions of everyone below, Suchi smiled slightly, which was exactly the effect he wanted to achieve. Episode 15. After lunch, Suchi came to the restroom arranged by AIM. The Viper woman Ophelia gently served him and took off his suit. Ophelia, I plan to set up a new security department and recruit some elite agents to deal with all kinds of tricky things in the company. The name of the new department is Viper Squad. I appoint you as the head of the new department. You're also Totland Industries chief security chief. Suchi slowly said his plan. Ophelia nodded. She was 100% obedient to Suchi's orders and would not raise any objections. According to the development of the plot, the villain alliance of Viper Squad should not appear until several years later, and this time because of Suchi's words, it was born in advance. Suchi glanced at Ophelia, and the charming and sexy woman in front of her was loyal to herself. There was no problem with her loyalty, and the only thing Suchi was worried about now was that the current Viper strength was still too weak. If she encounters those righteous heroes who go all the way and slash the devil, she may suffer. Suchi pondered for a moment, stood up straight, and came to a mirror. His huge palm pressed against the surface of the mirror, and in an instant there were sparkling waves of water on the mirror. This is the ability of the mirror fruit. Soon a separate space appeared behind the mirror surface, mirror world. Suchi walked through the mirror and walked in. The Viper woman Ophelia had seen this scene many times, and she was no longer surprised by it. A moment later, Suchi walked back from the mirror again, holding a black fruit with spiral patterns on the surface. Poisonous fruit, devil fruit from the pirate plane. This is also one of the rewards that Suchi obtained from the system clock-in, which has been placed in the treasure house of his mirror world for so many years. He walked up to Ophelia with the poisonous fruit. This is a magical fruit from another world. Eat it, and you will have the ability to control venom. You eat it. The Viper female Ophelia did not hesitate without any hesitation, and immediately took the poisonous fruit from Suchi's hand and swallowed it in one gulp. Belch. It's so unpalatable. Ophelia's delicate face instantly crumpled together. It was too difficult to eat. She had never eaten such a difficult fruit in her life. However, knowing the preciousness of this fruit, she forcibly swallowed the poisonous fruit. Suchi looked at Ophelia's wrinkled little face, and suddenly felt happy in her heart, recalling her experience of taking the devil fruit for the first time. Devil fruit is known as the most difficult fruit in the world and indeed lives up to its name. When Suchi ate it for the first time, he almost vomited it directly. Wait until Ophelia completely swallows the devil fruit. She stood up and looked at her whole body hesitantly. She could feel some strange change in her body. Ophelia stretched out her palm, and a drop of purple-black liquid suddenly appeared on her white fingers. This? Drip. The liquid dripped from her fingers and smashed on the carpet, and the pure white wool carpet suddenly shook, and a puff of white smoke rose up. The position where the carpet was stained with purple-black liquid was actually corroded out of a hole, This is the venom I secreted? The Viper woman looked at her hands incredulously. From now on, you will be a veritable viper. Suchi came over and gently patted her shoulder. After you go back, you will continue to practice this new ability and tap the potential of the poisonous fruit. Suchi is very aware of the great power of this fruit, and in the original work, the ability of the poisonous fruit belongs to Magellan, the warden of the advancing city. Relying on Venom's skills, he alone can suppress the fierce pirates locked up in Advanced City. Now Ophelia has not really brought into play the ability of the poisonous fruit. Thank you, my lord. The Viper woman lowered her delicate face respectfully. Suchi nodded. The ability of the poisonous fruit is most suitable for you, and only in your hands can you exert its maximum power. You have to keep practicing and thoroughly master this power. Suchi touched Ophelia's face and said slowly, "Don't worry, my lord, I won't let you down." Viper, the woman said solemnly. Afternoon. AIM's chief technology officer, Monica Lapazzini, suddenly came to Suchi's room. "Mr. Suchi, I'm sorry to disturb you." Monica had taken off her AIM uniform and replaced it with a short-cut black dress, revealing her slender and fair legs. "There is a confidential matter that I need to report to you separately." Suchi's gaze moved away from her long legs and slowly spoke. "What's going on?" Monica glanced at the Viper woman Ophelia standing behind Suchi, and her expression was a little hesitant. Suchi waved his hand. "Ophelia is the person I trust the most, and anything can be said to her face, without shy away." Monica nodded before continuing. "My lord, we have found a mysterious thing underground." Episode 16. Huh? Suchi's brows furrowed slightly. Monica in front of her is not a simple woman. She looks harmless on the surface, but her heart is dark and cruel, and the Inhumans who are dissected by her on the laboratory table do not know how many. What is it that can make her feel afraid? Suchi was suddenly aroused. Monica led Suchi and the Viper woman to dive underground in a special elevator. This is a secret base built underground by AIM to conduct experiments that cannot see the light, and civilians and Inhumans who are used as experimental subjects are also imprisoned here. The elevator continues down. A huge empty space suddenly appeared in the field of vision, covering an area of more than a dozen football fields, with no end in sight. "Turn on the spotlight," Monica commanded using the walkie-talkie. The spotlights on both sides turned on at the same time, and the strong white light shot out instantly, breaking the darkness of the underground space. At this time, a huge body appeared in Suchi's field of vision. "Oh my god! What is this?" The Viper woman beside her couldn't help but make a sound in surprise when she saw the scene in front of her. In the center of the underground base lies a giant body. The humanoid body was hundreds of meters long and a 5-meter-tall transport truck in front of it, like a child's toy. At this time, the giant body was lying quietly on the ground, motionless, and seemed to have lost its life. At its chest position, there is also a giant spear that is 100 meters long, which looks like a tower with dozens of stories when viewed from a distance. Suchi saw the creature in front of him clearly. His pupils couldn't help but shrink suddenly. Rao was his usual calm, and he was also a little surprised at this time. "I haven't seen anything, I've never seen this, square root. How did it end up here?" Suchi had already guessed the true identity of this guy in front of him, an extremely dangerous creature that should not have been present in this universe. At the same time, Suchi also knew that the creature in front of him was not dead, it was still alive. Now it is just sealed by the spear stuck in the heart, and it has fallen into an endless sleep. Once it wakes up, the whole world will be on the brink of destruction. For the first time since Suchi crossed over, a solemn look appeared on his face. He doesn't worry about his safety, but his 4 precious children still live in this world, and he doesn't allow anyone to hurt them. When AIM was building the underground base, we found this monster 1,000 meters below ground, and we dug it out and kept it in this secret base, which even the people in the Senate did not know. Monica slowly told the origin of this mysterious giant creature. "Immediately close this place. Everyone is strictly forbidden to enter here again." Suchi's face became a little gloomy. He knew very well that if this big guy woke up, it would not be a joke, and the crisis caused by that time would be nothing less than the time when Thanos snapped his fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet. Seeing Suchi's serious look, Monica was startled, and she immediately agreed. "Okay, Your Excellency Suchi, I'll deal with it immediately and completely seal this place." She guessed from Suchi's reaction that the other party should know the identity of the mysterious giant in front of her, but seeing Suchi, she didn't seem willing to reveal too much information, and she didn't dare to take the initiative to ask. Soon, the three left the secret space underground and returned to the AIM building. Thinking of such a terrifying creature buried in the ground, Suchi suddenly felt a little bad. "The world is far more dangerous than you thought." At this time, a crisp voice sounded. "Dad." I saw Charlotte Lingling holding a cream cake in her hand and running over quickly. Walking closer, she saw her father frowning and looking preoccupied. Charlotte Lingling hurriedly walked to Suchi's side. "Dad, what's wrong with you? You don't seem to be in a good mood. Has someone made you angry?" "Who is it? You tell me, I'll go and get angry for you." Saying that, Charlotte Lingling clenched her fists. Looking at his daughter in front of him with an imposing look, Suchi suddenly smiled. The originally locked brows suddenly stretched. He grinned, walked to his daughter. Charlotte Lingling squatted down, and Suchi gently touched her head. It's all small things, don't worry, Dad will handle it. Suchi said softly, what are you worried about? Even if the earth is destroyed, it is a big deal to roll up and return to the hellish dimension where your father is. As long as the 4 sons and daughters can grow up safely, the destruction of the earth is a trivial matter in Suchi's eyes. Thinking of this, he immediately lifted his spirits. Ride aboard a Kuan-style stealth fighter jet and leave the AIM building. Suchi sat in the spacious cabin, and her eldest daughter Charlotte Lingling sat on the deck. Even so, her head was almost on top of the cabin. Lingling's body has grown taller again. Suchi silently glanced at her daughter. Charlotte Lingling's current height is about 4 meters, which is not her limit. Suchi knew that according to the original plot, Lingling's height as an adult was 8 meters 8, close to 3 stories tall. Perhaps, it was time to solve the problem of the gigantic of Lingling's body. Suchi thought silently. Episode 17, Totland Industrial Building. Located in the bright and spacious giant office on the top floor, Suchi was flipping through the documents in his hand. Next to her stood Viper Ophelia. She wore a tight short skirt suit, outlining her perfect body, black stockings on her slender legs, and high heels, looking very seductive. Ariane, a gender woman, nicknamed Black Snake. Age unknown, proficient in all kinds of firearms, fighting, has more than 4 times the speed of ordinary people. Tanya Healy, gender female, nicknamed Black Mamba, age 22, former Roxanne mercenary, proficient in shooting, with combat command ability, and good at hypnosis. Atrice Keener, a female gender woman nicknamed Whipsnake, 23 years old, of unknown origin, has the ability to fight at the level of a martial arts master, and is good at using special metal whips with high voltage. Rachel Layton, a female gender and nicknamed Diamond Snake, is 19 years old, has top physical fitness, is proficient in hand-to-hand combat skills, proficient in weapons such as swords, and is good at blasting and poison. Looking at the information of one woman after another in the information, Suchi nodded. Since Suchi proposed the plan to form a Viper squad, Ophelia immediately began to handle this matter, recruiting agents around the world. The women in the information were all personally screened by her and handed over to Suchi for purpose. It's done well, Suchi praised. In the future, the Viper squad will be my direct guard, and you will be in charge of commanding. Hearing Suchi's praise, Ophelia's delicate face suddenly appeared with a joyful expression, like a little girl. The members selected by Ophelia are all members of the Viper squad in the original plot, but the problem is that all the women she chooses are women, and there is not a single man. And these team members are all young and beautiful women, with curves like supermodels. Is this the rhythm to form a harem for me? Suchi silently complained in his heart. At this time, Monica, who was wearing an Ames uniform, also walked in. Originally, Ophelia had been acting as Suchi's personal secretary, responsible for handling various things in his work and life, but now because he was busy with the formation of the Viper team, Suchi transferred Monica from AIM. Of course, she is still the CTO of AIM, responsible for the reverse engineering project of Tarragon Crystal. According to Suchi's vision, the Viper woman Ophelia will be in charge of his direct guard, and on the other hand, he will form a think tank. His scheduled candidates include Monica in front of him, and the supervillain Mordor, who will be born in the future. The think tank will advise him and develop various strategic plans. Of course, he also had a suitable candidate in mind, the big boss Samuel Stern. It is also the Mr. Blue in the Hulk incident. Calculate the time, and now the Hulk haunting New York incident should be about to happen. Maybe it's time to hurry up and find this Mr. Lawn. Suchi is very clear that after mutating into the big boss, Samuel Stern's IQ can even crush Iron Man Tony Stark. He joined his own think tank, plus Monica Lapazzini and Mordork George Tarleton. The Iron Triangle Military and Master Alliance formed by these 3 people can allow you to have the strongest think tank team on the surface. Did you find Samuel Stern? Looking at Monica who was coming, Suchi asked. Yes, Your Excellency Suchi, Monica replied respectfully. We have found Samuel Stern. His real identity is a doctor in the Department of Cell Biology at Gabon College. He is currently in the Academy's laboratory, and I have ordered my men to monitor his movements 24 hours a day. Suchi nodded. According to the development of the plot, he should now be studying the blood of the Hulk after it is contaminated. At this time, the transparent light frame suddenly popped up in front of Suchi's eyes, and at the same time, the system's prompt sounded. The check-in mission is on. Mission, punch in the big event, Hulk rises. Goal, take 4 sons and daughters to watch the battle between the Hulk and Abomination. Reward and punishment, get a reward after completing the clock-in task, and there is no penalty for failure of the task. System tasks? Seeing the task box that suddenly popped up in his field of vision, Suchi's eyes flashed, and there was not much surprise on his face. His Goldfinger, the Heavenly Daddy system, will release tasks from time to time, and you can get rewards for completing them. He insisted on completing the task for 8 years, redeeming many treasures from the system, all of which were placed in his secret treasure vault Mirror World. Punch mission? Suchi narrowed his eyes. This was an extremely simple task. However, this time, the conditions for completion required bringing their 4 children to check in together. Suchi's first reaction was to abandon the mission, and the check-in location was the scene of the Hulk and the abomination of the two monsters. He didn't want his precious children to easily get involved in danger and be hurt a little. Episode 18. However, after thinking for a moment, Suchi still decided to accept the task. Children will eventually grow up and cannot always hide under their wings. And these sons and daughters of their own are not ordinary people. They are all villain bosses who dominate the side of their respective planes of the world. It's also time for them to meet the superheroes of this world. Suchi thought silently in his heart. Long Island rich area, among the luxury villas of the Suchi family. Early morning, after the family eats breakfast at the table, Suchi suddenly opened his mouth and said, "Orochimaru, Tom, you don't have to go to the academy today. I'm going to take the four of you to a place." Before the words fell, the eldest daughter Charlotte Lingling had already jumped up excitedly. "Dad, are you going to take us out on an outing?" "Well, yes, but it's more exciting than an outing." The corners of Suchi's mouth curled up, and a smile appeared. Soon, the family walked into the modified stealth Kuan-type fighter. The Kuan-type fighter originally belonged to S.H.I.E.L.D., which was found in a warehouse during a raid when agents of Hydra broke into a secret S.H.I.E.L.D. stronghold. The agent leader of the Hydra in the back dedicated it to Suchi and became his personal car. The fighter started, the jets at the bottom burst out of flames, and under the huge thrust, the Kuan-type fighter soared into the air and flew into the clouds. In the comfortable cabin, Tom sat in a leather chair, a magic book in his hand, and a basilisk, lying on his shoulder. Since making a plan to rescue the Mother Blood Queen, Tom has been consulting various magic books day and night, looking for clues about the sealed place of the Blood Queen. On the other seat, Yoshikage stroked the cat grass in his arms, and the cat grass squinted his eyes with an expression of enjoyment. His newly acquired maid, the witch, stood aside. Since seeing the horror of Suchi's family, she has completely given up the idea of escaping, and can only endure silently and wait for the opportunity. At this time, Orochimaru, who was sitting in the front row, turned around and handed a file to Yoshikage. "I heard that you are very interested in mutants and inhumans during this time. I will find an inhuman girl for you. Here is her information, you can take a look." "Inhumans?" The witch's heart moved, and her gaze immediately quietly moved to the file. I saw Yoshikage open the file, and on the first page, there was a photo of a girl with a Central Asian face, who looked about 14 or 15 years old. The witch swept her gaze, and saw the girl's name, Kamala Khan. "How? Is this girl to your liking? If you like it, I'll get her back for you," Orochimaru said nonchalantly. Ever since he learned that his brother was madly obsessed with mutants and inhumans, he went to find these hidden mutant humans through the ninja subordinates of the Takai. Yoshikage looked at the girl in the photo, and his eyes began to bloom with that sickly and dangerous gaze. Seeing Yoshikage's terrifying eyes, the witch on the side couldn't help but tremble her body. "Thank you, brother. This kind of little thing, don't bother my brother, I will make a move myself," Yoshikage said politely. Orochimaru nodded. "This girl's ability is a little peculiar, you have to be careful, don't hurt yourself. If you can't figure it out yourself, just talk to me." Orochimaru opened his mouth. He is now the head of the Hand Association organization in Country M, and with a single order, he can dispatch tens of thousands of dark ninjas to work for him, and catching an inhuman little girl is just a simple matter for him. Hearing the conversation between the two brothers in front of her, the witch's body felt a chill. That poor little girl, she must not know now, she has been targeted by this demon family. The witch closed her eyes, and she couldn't bear to imagine what would happen to the little girl when she fell into the clutches of Yoshikage, a little devil. At this time, Suchi walked over from the cockpit. Seeing their father appear, Orochimaru and Yoshikage immediately stopped the topic of kidnapping, closed their mouths, and at the same time hid the information of the inhuman little girl under the seat. In front of his father Suchi, the two guys switched faces and turned into cute and simple little boys. Suchi clicked with the remote control, and the huge 50-inch screen slowly fell from the top of the cabin. A surveillance screen is playing on the screen. The location of the picture is the laboratory of the biology department of the Jebin College. The high-definition cameras in this are all secretly installed by the Hydra agents responsible for monitoring Samuel Stern. Soon, Mr. Blue Samuel Stern appeared in the picture, and he was busy conducting a serum test in front of the experimental table. "If you look closely, something interesting is about to happen." Suchi stared at the surveillance screen with burning eyes. He knows very well that according to the development of the plot, that famous villain abomination is about to be born. Episode 19. In the lab, Emil Bronsky broke in, pulled out a pistol, and put it on the head of Mr. Blue Samuel Stern, threatening to inject himself with Hulk serum. What happened next was the same as the plot of the movie. Stern injected Bronsky with serum, a serum containing the power of gamma ray radiation, which caused Bronsky's body to begin to mutate. His pupils were filled with green slurry-like objects, covering all of them, and he looked extremely terrifying. His body began to swell, and the cells in his body proliferated at a high speed as if they were uncontrolled. Reptile-like scales such as lizards began to grow on Bulongski's skin, interspersed with curved, barbed-like sharp white bones. In Sting's astonished gaze, Bulongski's body expanded like a balloon, and all his upper clothes were burst and turned into tattered strips of cloth to hang on his body. His height has grown to 3 meters and 5 meters, and his head is close to the ceiling. Roar! Bronski threw his head back and growled, a beastly roar coming out of his throat. He stood up, his huge body squeezed out the experimental equipment beside him, his head pierced the reinforced concrete roof above his head. He took a step, and the entire ground shattered directly, appearing cracks in the shape of cobwebs. At this moment, Abomination was born. Through the high-definition camera, Suchi's family, sitting in the luxurious box of the cabin, witnessed this scene. Interesting. Orochimaru stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. The serum that could cause body mutation aroused his interest. He turned his face sideways and began to think about how to get the serum without being discovered by his father. And Charlotte Lingling on the side saw the hatred after the transformation, and her eyes suddenly lit up, as if she saw a favorite toy. This is the first time she has seen a giant human like her since coming to the human world. Suchi was already familiar with these plots, and his mood did not fluctuate in the slightest. Sure enough, without the intervention of external forces, the world will still move forward according to the established track, and after the Hulk, those superheroes like the Children of Destiny will appear one after another and appear in front of the public. At this time, in the laboratory, the transformed into a hateful Bronski laughed wildly, and he could feel that his body was filled with endless power. He stepped heavily on the ground, a huge shockwave was released, all the instruments in the laboratory exploded, the fire splashed, and Samuel Stern on the side stood unsteadily, and fell directly to the ground. Abomination swept away the embarrassed Samuel Stern with a look of contempt in his eyes, and he no longer paid attention to this weak guy. I saw him laughing loudly, bending his legs, bouncing, jumping to a height of tens of meters, jumping directly from the broken wall into the air, and then disappearing after a few vertical leaps. He did not notice that in a panic, Samuel Stern hit the corner of the table, a wound appeared on his forehead, and after he fell, the test tube containing the Hulk serum happened to fall, and the serum dripped into the wound on his forehead. For a moment, Samuel Stern felt a huge force rush into his brain. He covered his head, in pain. I saw that his head began to squirm wildly, expanding rapidly like a balloon, and in just a few seconds, it changed to 3 or 4 times the original volume, like a giant watermelon on top. Samuel Stern screamed in pain. At this moment, the gamma rays made his brain begin to mutate, and he felt countless noisy sounds ringing in his head at the same time, buzzing, buzzing, and he felt as if his brain was about to explode. After the screen, Suchi saw this scene and knew that the other subordinate he was looking for, the big boss, was born. He turned on the walkie-talkie and commanded, "Grab him and send him to the company's lab." "Yes, my lord." After receiving the order, the Viper woman Ophelia wearing a black leather suit stood up straight, her face was grim, and when she waved her hand, the Hydra agent behind her immediately rushed up and surrounded the laboratory. The next moment, the mutation protrudes. All the Hydra agents felt a sharp pain in their brains, and they covered their heads, fell to the ground, and curled up in pain. I saw a figure appear inside the door of the laboratory. Samuel Stern, who had a giant deformed head, had blood-red eyes, his face was distorted, and he walked out step by step. "Who are you? What do you want to do?" "Mr. Blue." Samuel Stern stared at the woman in black standing not far away, and he instinctively felt the dangerous aura emanating from his opponent. "Is this your ability? Kind of interesting." The Viper woman Ophelia did not answer the other party's question. She glanced at her subordinates who fell to the ground, a little surprised by the other party's attack methods. "My boss wants to see you. Come with me," Ophelia said with a relaxed expression. "Your boss?" Samuel Stern lowered his huge head, then he raised his head and his gaze changed. "You're a Hydra person." This time, the face of the Viper woman changed, and her voice became cold. "Can you read my thoughts?" Episode 20. This is exactly the ability that Samuel Stern obtained after mutating. Under gamma radiation, his brain grew wildly, not only allowing him to have a super high IQ, but also awakening a stronger ability of thought. He possesses telepathic abilities and can read other people's minds through the air. At the same time, it can also create an attack of ideas, causing the other party to fall into extreme pain. Samuel Stern looked at the Viper woman who was approaching step by step, and his face showed a hint of panic. "Don't come close, or I'm welcome," Samuel Stern threatened. At this time, he noticed a conspiratorial smile on the face of the woman opposite. Oops, he was shocked and immediately wanted the ability to launch a spiritual bombardment. But at this moment, he suddenly felt that his body was soft, his whole body lost all strength, and his whole brain became groggy. "Poison? You poisoned?" "When?" Samuel Stern quickly responded. "Huh." The Viper woman Ophelia chuckled. She stretched out her white slender fingers, and a purple-black thick liquid secreted out, which then quickly vaporized in the air, turning into a silent poisonous gas. Poisonous fruit. This was exactly the ability of the poisonous fruit that Tsuchi gave her. As soon as she saw Samuel Stern, the Viper woman had already activated the ability of the poisonous fruit, secreted venom, and then volatilized the venom into tiny molecules and diffused it into the air. The space near her body was already filled with formless and colorless poisonous gas. Samuel Stern stood for several minutes, no longer knowing how much poisonous gas was inhaled into his body, and now began to react. To know that the venom secreted by the Viper woman only needs a drop to paralyze an elephant, if it were not for Samuel Stern's brain mutation, his spirit was far stronger than ordinary people, he would have fallen by now. Even so, his body began to shake and his vision gradually blurred. After holding on for a while, he finally reached his limit, and with a bang, he fell to the ground, unconscious. And on another battlefield, the great war of Hulks and Abomination has reached a fever pitch. Rumble. Abomination stepped on the Humvee on the side of the road, and suddenly the whole car was directly trampled on, the frame was twisted, and the glass was all shattered. The whole street was in chaos, and there were people fleeing everywhere. Everyone had a look of horror on their faces. The long street becomes a battlefield for two mutant giants. Roar. With a deafening roar, both the Hulk and Abomination charged at the same time. The two people started at the same time, accelerated and ran wildly, and when the speed reached the limit, the 2 feet slammed on the ground, jumped into the air, and then raised a millstone-sized fist towards each other. Boom! The Hulk's fist slammed into Abomination's face, and likewise, the opponent's fist smashed his face. After a loud bang, the two behemoths separated at the same time and flew out upside down. Rumble! The Hulk's body fell to the ground, and a deep pit suddenly appeared on the hard concrete floor. It shook its head, rolled over, and stood up, with a beastly roar coming out of its mouth, and rushed forward again with a roar. Compared to the Hulk, after transforming into the Hulk, he will lose his mind. The greatest advantage of Abomination is that his mind is still clear. He watched the Hulk in his field of vision rush up like a mad beast, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Abomination grabbed a black car in front of him with both hands, and directly used the car weighing more than 1 ton as a weapon and picked it up. Rumble! The sedan cut an arc in the air and smashed heavily on the Hulk, directly smashing him 5 or 6 meters away. Then, the piercing roar sounded again, and the two mutant giants flew up at the same time again, crashed into each other in the air, and fell to the ground. The two people are like behemoths in history, fighting together, punching and punching each other. Hovering in midair, a Kuan-type stealth fighter, Tsuchi's family was watching this thrilling monster battle live. Ding! The system's prompt sounds. A transparent light frame popped up in front of Tsuchi's eyes. Congratulations to the host for completing the famous scene check-in task. Mission reward: 3 hook jade riding wheel eyes. Riding wheel eyes? Senga Jade. Tsuchi was stunned for a moment, and a strange expression appeared on his face. 3 hook jade riding wheel eyes. The blood succession limit of the Uchiha clan, Sharingan, with the ability to observe, copy, hypnotize, etc., can give the holder insight beyond ordinary people, can observe the flow of chakra, can apply and see through illusions, and can also copy body art and non-blood succession boundary ninjutsu. This is the supreme pupil technique of the Hokage plane. Tsuchi pouted. If he got the 3-hook jade riding wheel eye for the first time, he might be excited. The problem is that he already has too much of this kind of riding wheel eye. Single hook jade riding wheel eyes, double hook jade riding wheel eyes, and 3-hook jade riding wheel eyes. In the treasure house of Tsuchi's mirror world, he has no less than hundreds of such eyes. These are all rewards he has obtained over the years. Now that he had another Sharingan, he didn't feel anything in his heart. Tsuchi couldn't help but glance at his eldest son, the Big Snake Pill. He has been following a step-by-step approach to education, and so far, he has only taught Orochimaru Chakra the exercise methods and some basic ninjutsu. Tsuchi touched his chin. It seemed that it was time to hand over the Sharingan to his son.